Welcome to Coffee, Coffee, Coffee. Today's episode is a little bit different because we're not going to be reviewing a coffee. We're going to talk about how much is coffee costing you. We're budget-minded people and we're always curious, like, how much are we really spending on this, that, or the other? And then coffee, because it can be such a wide range of pricing, we were kind of curious, like, how much are we spending on coffee? What's the normal amount to spend? And it kind of depends, right, on, are you buying bagged or KCups, or are you getting it through the drive-thru? So we just kind of nerded out on, taking it down to, like, we even measured out how much does the coffee weigh based on our general scooping and all that. So here are the assumptions we started out with, just so that you can see, over the course, we tried to keep everything pretty even. So we assumed 2 people, because that's the average number of people in a household that drink coffee, 3 times per day, which is also the national average. And then we figured, 30 days a month, just to keep it easy math. When using a rounded tablespoon, which is what we generally use, so we don't level off the tablespoon, but we also don't scoop as much as we can, and whatever holds on is in there. It's just, kind of a rounded tablespoon. And that equaled out to about 30 grams of coffee each time, because when we, make coffee in our coffee maker, we need 2 6-ounce servings for each mug. So that ends up being, 12 ounces per mug of coffee. So every time we're making coffee, we're using 30 grams of coffee. So when we multiply that out, we end up figuring out that we are basically buying 6 pounds of coffee per month. And so, but what does that mean for your overall, price per month that you're paying? So if you're buying the low-end stuff, like, my brother-in-law just found coffee for $2.32 a pound. That was a big old can of great value coffee. But you could even go all the way up to, in the grocery store brands like Peet's Coffee, that the higher end brands or local roasters are usually about $12 a pound. So you could end up paying anywhere between about $14 a month to about, $72 a month. So that's a pretty big variance. And so, it's just something to be aware of. If you're buying the higher end stuff, this is about what you're paying. Now, K-Cups. K-Cups were pretty interesting because we don't have one, we don't have a Keurig, so we were kind of curious, like, what do they cost per cup and that kind of thing. So the first thing to remember or to notice is that, generally speaking, K-Cups are only about 10 grams of coffee per pod. So that was so basically you're getting less coffee every cup, as far as the coffee that you're using strength-wise, than you are if you're just making your own bagged from home. So and so if you try to make a 12-ounce cup of coffee with just 1 pod, it's probably going to seem pretty weak. But just for the sake of argument, let's say that you only use 1 and it's fine for each mug of coffee, each 12-ounce mug. You're still paying like 31 cents per cup. And then if you multiply that out, so basically your multiplier is going to be 180, because 2 times 3 times 30 days a month, you're going to end up at around $55 to about $120 per month. And so really you would be better off, like, if you're really wanting the higher quality stuff, go ahead and just buy the bagged, and and you can even buy those little adapters, and so you could end up using much better coffee to make the K-Cups, or to make it in the Keurig for the same amount of money, or even less, really. So that's something to consider. So, and then lastly, what about drive-thrus? Well, it depends on where you go. So McDonald's has $1 coffee, which sounds pretty cheap, right? But if you multiply that out, again, you're still going to be spending, $180 if you get, both of you get coffee 3 times a day, which not many people are doing, drive-through coffee that often, but it's something to keep in mind. It does add up over time. Starbucks, on the other hand, if you're spending, $1.95 for that same size coffee that we're talking about over here, and you're doing that with 2 people 3 times a day, then that's, a ridiculous amount of money. It's, it's basically like $350 for the Starbucks. So so you can end up spending a really wide variety of money depending on what you buy. and how you prepare it. So, you know, you're really better off to go with a bag. You're always better off to go with a bag and really buy a whole lot. You know, even with the cheapest K-Cups, like these 31-cent ones were like great value brand K-Cups. So all the way up to, this is what we found Pete's K-Cups for. So, you know, it's still kind of that same variance, although really you can find cheaper coffee per pound than you can find the K-Cups. The K-Cups kind of keep it in this like kind of tight range that we found, whereas bagged can be really, really cheap, or, you know, all the way up to like $12 a pound. So anyway, hope that helps. We were surprised by how much, you know, of a variance there was, especially with the K-Cups. So I hope you found that informative, and we'll see you next time.